Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So this is my Q4 plan with me video, and if you guys watched my October plan with me, you'll know that this is a separate video because it is a switchover. So I've got to kind of wrap up things from Q3 and move on to Q4. Now, as with all of these type of videos, I end up having to film them in advance just with my full-time job, work schedule, and just the time it takes to get everything ready. So I am filming this a little bit earlier in September than I maybe would have liked. So I will show you guys what I can, and I will set up as much as I can with you guys, but you know, life kind of has happened, we'll say. So we are currently in early to mid-September, so let's go ahead and take a peek over here. So I did do a quick little flip through of September in my October plan with me video. So this is honestly kind of going to stay as is. I will quickly set up October in this plan with me, but this is really to focus on what is up front, which is my quarterly mind map of things that I want to get done. Now, since it is still kind of mid-September, there are certain things that I will end up getting to finish. There are other things that I probably won't, and so they will need to be migrated. So we're going to kind of take a look at that. You will see there are some things that I have crossed off. So when I finish stuff, I cross it off in a brown pen just so I kind of know. And there are some things that I have finished, actually a fair amount. It might not represent a lot on here, but the amount of work that went into it was fairly substantial, especially in terms of stuff for work. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I've kind of started planning for Q4. Essentially, I look at what I have done and what I haven't done yet in the current quarter, and I start a quick little spread. It is very simple. So this, instead of doing a mind map setup for this, I do kind of just list things out. So I've got a couple of things for Q4. I've got some ideas that are sort of independent in some ways of what I get done for the rest of Q3. So for example, I know that there's going to be a lot of stuff that I haven't gotten done with my font. And so there are things that I just kind of have gone through, okay, what are my next steps gonna be? And so it's not even really necessary to migrate specifically from here because it's basically the extension of this. I've just broken them down a little bit differently. The other thing is that I will have my trip to Korea in October. So I have very little left to do for my trip. I basically just have to do my packing list, make final plans, and like final research and keep studying Korean. So that one's gonna be fairly straightforward. You know, just it kind of depends how things go. So I do have a pretty solid idea of what I do want to do for Q4. One of the biggest things, I'm adding in a little bit for traveling because I need to start figuring out for my big school holidays if and what I want to do. So if I want to travel and where I want to go during those holidays. So I need to start looking at that now so that I can start booking things if I want to do any sort of little trip. I also have updated my sewing list. Now that the school year has started, I did do a little bit of planning on this kind of stuff, but I honestly really need to work on sewing up some cutout projects that I already have. So I am going to kind of leave this open as is, and I'm going to kind of revisit this stuff, probably more when I'm looking at my 2020 goals. And I am basically just going to focus on in Q4 to work on sewing up things that I've already cut out so that when the new year hits, I can start doing more projects. And also I know that I don't have as much time necessarily to sew during the school year. And so it would be a great opportunity for me to work on things I've already got cut out rather than trying to plan a brand new like big project that I need to work on and buy fabric for and all of that kind of stuff while I'm also juggling work. So that's kind of a couple of the little changes that I'm going to have. One of the other things in terms of migrating to Q4, as you guys might notice, I am only on page 4 of this end book. I did switch over to a new end book at the end of Q2, so basically for Q3, and I'm going to, the goal being that I wanted to be in this end book for the next 2 quarters. So I am not going to migrate because I still have most of, you know, at least what, 2/3 of the book left. So I'm going to stay in here. I'm really just going to migrate into a new P book. So what I have is a little refill. So I think this actually was probably the refill that I got in the latest Projo. So this was when I set up the Take the First Step, so the Adventure Projo, I actually had already gotten a P-book. I had an extra P-book from another thing, and so I basically just saved the inserts that came in that Projo Plus pack, and I'm going to go ahead and use that, well, at least the P-book today. So what I'm going to do is open these up. Oops, oh my goodness, come on, there we go. So I have a collection growing of end books, so I'm just gonna put this end book with the other one that I still have, and I'm gonna probably take this out because I have this in multiple copies at this point. So I'm just gonna save this one off to the side. Oh, my light just got a little weird. And I'm going to work on my P-books. So I think what we're gonna do is open up to my Q4 ideas. So I think what I'm gonna do is I may not set up absolutely everything in here. It's gonna kind of depend if I run into anything that I think I might need to wait and set up after I've gotten closer to the end of September, but I will set up what I can just so you guys can kind of see. So I do have my vision board over here, and you guys might have noticed also that for Q3 I ended up not recopying my full 2019 with all of the things that I still had open. I actually had planned to do it, and things just kind of got away from me, and I decided that, you know, I do have my other P-books archived. I can go back and look at them if I need to. I'm really just going to focus on doing this, so I don't really need to save this particular page, so I might go ahead and spread out and take up both of the pages. I'm not really sure, so we'll kind of see how that goes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and time lapse you guys, and I'll come back and show you what I end up actually setting up in here for Q4. Okay, so that is Q4 set up for what I can do for right now. So I'll show you, I have just October to December 2019 right up here. I did decide to just leave this page blank. Honestly, I didn't need more space. So I don't know, we'll see if I leave it blank or if I end up using it, but at the very least I have my Q4 mind map set up. So as soon as I circled the Q4, I regretted it because I don't circle anything else, but oh well, it is what it is. So kind of going around, I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see. So this is how I basically take my initial thoughts, which this is at least 2, probably 3 quarters that I've done, where I just have kind of a running list, and then when I sit down and I do my next quarter setup, I turn it into some kind of a mind map that has a little bit of an organization to it. So this is kind of how I do that. So for example, I've got my font. I have, I have to buy a software, so that's kind of an independent thing that, I've already budgeted for it. I just am kind of waiting until I get to the point where I actually need to use it to actually buy it. So maybe I can still use the 30-day trial. Then I have to finish my first font. So I have sort of the next steps in that, and I have an offshoot to 2 of those steps for things that I need to do. Actually, setting up the online shop is something that I hope to do in September, but I just kind of put that on there because it goes with it, so I just left it. Then I have another kind of independent thing with font is if I finish all of this, the goal is to then start my second font. We'll see how it goes. Korea, as I mentioned, the trip is actually going to happen in October, so this is basically, most of this is for October. So I need to do my packing list, I need to finalize plans and do like final research. I need to study Korean because I want to finish level 3 before I leave. And then I also have keep studying work on level 4. So that's basically going to be November and December, what I can still work on for the rest of Q4. I've got my work 1, so I have to plan all of unit 2, so all unit 2s for all of my classes, and then I have just my levels. So I actually have 5 different levels, even though I have 7 classes. So I just have that so I can cross them off as I do it. I actually have already finished some unit 2s for some levels, so I will go back through and update that, but I don't have all of them done, which is why this is still something to do. And then as soon as I finish those, I want to work on unit 3, and if I have time, I'd like to start working on unit 4. I'd like to kind of get as far ahead in the year as I possibly can when I can, so we'll see how that goes. I have for sewing, I need to sew up all of my cut projects, and I also want to work on doing a me-made inventory blog post. So basically I need to take pictures of everything that I've made and have a little description, that kind of stuff. This is honestly not a big priority, but I would like to do it, so I've kind of got it on there since I don't really have a lot of moving parts for sewing. I did kind of do things a little differently when I got to the roadmap, so you'll see how this kind of turned into something else on the roadmap. Then I've got to catch up on Happy Mail. I literally always have to do that. This I will have to talk to you guys about a little bit later. I can't quite go into that yet. And then I also need to work on doing doctor's appointments. I kind of time all of my yearly doctor's appointments to be in the fall, and so that is Q4's job is to book appointments, make appointments basically, and actually go to the doctor for various doctors. Next up, I have my travel. So I have to plan my holidays. I've got obviously my big trip for my October holidays is Korea, and then I've also already got an idea for my big trip for 2020, which is going to be going to Italy, and that's going to be for next summer. So I have to decide if I want to do any sort of smaller trips for my other school holidays, and if so, I need to start booking them. And then the last one is in my save. I've actually already, so in terms of money that I have saved, I have actually already hit my savings goal for 2019. However, I am still continuing it because some of those savings, some of the things that I had saved were actually earmarked for things like my move or things like my Korea trip, and so they are going to be spent or have been spent. So I want to keep working on that, and then I have a couple of other little things related to finances that I want to work on, so that's kind of all in that. This is actually just like a money category, but I just label it as save. So that is my mind map for Q4. I will, see as much as I can get done for the end of Q3 and cross some stuff off there. I think I'm pretty good. I don't think there will be a ton that I want to migrate to Q4. I think I've kind of covered everything, but you never know. I do have some extra space if that ends up being the case where I need to migrate some stuff. I did also set up my goals roadmap. Now you'll notice I don't use the 6 months to a year just because a lot of my projects are not projects in the sense that they're going to take me a year. They're really the sort of steps of any given project or sort of mini projects that I'm going to focus on during the quarter. And so I really focus on this side of the spread. I do have one thing over here, but I really focus on this side of the spread. So I did go ahead and fill in all of these because I figured that would I find this really helpful when I'm, looking at this. I can kind of see what's going on, but this is really where I look at like, okay, what am I going to tackle first? So I just have my main projects. I don't have everything that's on here. I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have Korea or other. So I kind of have the big things that have been transferred over here. I have a quick little purpose for, why I want to work on it. And then I have my first steps. You'll see most of them. I do have all 4 lines filled out. This one I do not, because I really thought that that was going to be kind of a 3-month thing. I didn't think I would get to it kind of initially. And one of the things I mentioned was with sewing that I kind of had switched things up. I actually started doing, if I finish sewing up my projects, what are the next things I want to do? And I've got some next projects that I want to work on, but I didn't actually put the inventory on here. So that's where sometimes just the way that I decide to set it up, it's not always the exact same information. It usually is, but it's written down somewhere so I won't forget about it. It's just, once I actually move it to my weekly, sometimes I will pull that information from here. Sometimes I pull it from here. It just sort of depends. Then I never use this, maybe someday, but for right now, it doesn't really make any sense because as I mentioned, the way that my projects break down, I tend to focus on the 3-month section just so it doesn't get too overwhelming. I have my year level goals that I then have been breaking down throughout the year to do that. So I find that this is not really necessarily useful for me right yet, maybe at some point. I have quickly set up October, so I just did my little weekly dividers and I have my line for my YouTube videos. I have already decided I'm going to keep the same projects, but I haven't really filled out anything else yet because I want to see how much I can get done in September. I'm hoping I can get more done over the next couple of weeks, so I'm hoping that I will have some things that I don't have to migrate. Then the rest of this is kind of, I obviously have not set up any of these months yet. I did go ahead and set up my first week just because I never really set this up on camera, so I thought I would go ahead and kind of show you. So I just have, when I straddle a month, I do the first date, so the Monday and what month it falls in, and the Sunday and what month it falls in. Otherwise, it's just the days and the month. And then I do mark in the week of the calendar year, and I have the week for school, just so I always know what week I'm on, just, for my own peace of mind. Again, I haven't done key projects because I've got a couple weeks before I actually need to use this particular weekly, but I did go ahead and set it up. So I have the day on the left, so the date on the left, the day of the week on the right, and then I start at 5 a.m. and I go to 10 p.m. because that is, I usually don't stay up any later than 10, so that gives me a little bit of a buffer, and I usually don't get up any earlier than 5, so that's my entire day in a nutshell. So that is what I've got set up for here. I do, since it is kind of going into quarter 4, I wanted to quickly go into my bullet journal and show you guys sort of how things are going with some of my year level goals, which I will do kind of an end of the year recap just to kind of give you guys an idea. But just so you know, I have officially finished 2 goals. So I did move back in February. I have hit my savings goals, but I am still working on it because, as I mentioned, I ended up using, so I was saving to move and I ended up using some of that money to move, and I've been saving for my trip to Korea, so I will use that money for my trip. I will have completed Korea by the end of October, so I'm coming back the 31st, so that will be that goal done. So that's 3 out of my 5 goals that are definitely going to be finished. I am still working on my font. I'm probably nearing the point where I could mark this as halfway through, but I haven't quite done it yet. And I am at 26,000 for YouTube. I won't hit 50,000, and that's totally fine. I knew this was a reach goal, but this was just kind of to keep me honest in terms of posting every week, try to be as engaged as I can, especially during the school year. So even though I'm not going to hit this goal, I feel like things are going pretty well. I think I've been giving you guys some pretty good content. I've been consistent and all of that. So in terms of actually hitting the number, that wasn't really kind of the main thing, but I do think I've reached this goal just in so far as, keeping up with my channel and trying to keep giving you guys quality content. So hopefully I've been doing that. Then my last little section over here, actually I've got two little sections. So I have my quarterly layout. So as you can see, quarter 1 and quarter 2 are done. I am working on quarter 3. I think a couple of these things might end up getting migrated to quarter 4. I do have a big section for quarter 4 is doing my 2020 prep. And I've actually already kind of planned for that in my YouTube editorial calendar, but I didn't put it on my quarter 4 goals. It might be something I add a little bit later, but I know that that's something that I'm going to start doing kind of around November. So I didn't end up putting it on there. And then you guys can see in here my trackers for my top 5 goals. So you'll see I've already hit my goals for my savings goals. I actually hit it at the end of July. I just kind of did in pencil where I was out, but I'm keeping going for the next few months to see how much I can actually end up getting saved. I am working on this, you know, it's not gonna actually happen, but that's totally fine. As I mentioned, moving is totally done, so that is all set. I have been making some pretty good progress, and actually what I can do is, I'm actually really close. I'm at least 3/4 done with vectoring. So that is getting there. So again, this one I've really got to work on. This one by October, I will have saved everything I need to save. I do still need to do some research. Just I was really focused on getting the school year ready to go, so I haven't quite done that. I will hopefully finish level 3. I'm at least halfway done. I'm a little over halfway done. I'm almost 2/3, but I'm at least about halfway done. I won't get to level 4. I just won't have time. But that is going to be finished up too. So that's just kind of to give you an idea in my bullet journal, since, you know, we're nearing the end of the calendar year, just to kind of show you how my kind of year level goals have been progressing. And then these are obviously some more detailed things that I'm, you know, breaking down my top 5 goals, but also some other goals that I have that weren't necessarily the top 5, but things I need to do and want to do anyway. So I hope that these quarterly plan with me videos are kind of useful for you, especially if you are trying to do your goal planning in a quarterly manner. I will come back and give you guys sort of an end of the year recap of everything so you guys can see, but hopefully these have been useful for you. So that's all I have for you guys today. I will see you in my next video. Bye. Hey guys, so if you've made it all the way to the end of this video and are actually watching my end screen and you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. There's a little button right there for you to do it. And if you're interested in watching some more of my videos, I have links to 2 of my older videos off to the left there, so you can check those out if you would like to, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!